Fire season, not just in central Arizona, but in so many different parts of our state. And every time it is fire season now, all of us, you and me, all of us, think about that time just a short time ago. I was in the Bay Area, had just landed, and I heard the news about 19 Arizona firefighters, the Granite Mountain hotshots, all dead. And Jim Cross, you haven't covered so many fires. I know you understand when I say I couldn't believe it. I was sure that it had been some kind of a typo in the copy. Couldn't have been 19 firefighters, but it was, and you have covered this now for so long, ever since it happened. How long ago?
Happened 1 year ago.
Well, with that, I want to know from you, what's it like for the people who are living in Yarnell and Prescott? They can't remove themselves from history.
They will be forever linked to this, both Prescott and Yarnell, for the worse. You have 19 lost firefighters, their families, many of them living in the Prescott area, still dealing with it. A community, they built up a tremendous friend base there, still wrestling with it. Yarnell, to this day, still recovering, trying to get the homes rebuilt. 125 plus homes were lost. This was a very destructive fire, despite its small size. It was 8,500 acres or so, and it wreaked an enormous amount of damage and property and lives.
But you're the fire authority for all of us here, not just at KTAR, but across the state. People listen to you because you've covered so many fires. What was so unusual about this?
The location where it was at, we were coming off of, and you said you were in the Bay Area coming
Yes.
back. I had just come back from Idaho, and it was those days when it was 117, 118, 119, happened right after that little 3-day run. It was incredibly dry. The humidity up there was about 2%. It was an area that hadn't burned in 40 or 50 years. They had a small fire in there that basically started growing larger. The firefighters were in a canyon, a horseshoe canyon, when the fire essentially turned around because of a thunderstorm in the area with high winds. The fire was moving away from them, turned around and pinned them in the back of that canyon at the bottom of the horseshoe, and there was no way to get out of there.
But these are pros.
Yes.
These are pros of different ages, different areas of responsibility, but they all had experience.
Yes.
Was there an attitude that you were aware of then or that you've heard about since, that the Granite Mountain hotshots, individually or as a group, said, can't happen to me?
Not at all. I think in every firefighter's mind, they hope that this never happens. There's always a potential for this happening, as this did. But as it's always been said, these are the guys that go into fires when people are getting away from fires. They went in, they tried to save homes. They saved a majority of homes in Peoples Valley, Glen Isla, and Yarnell. They lost their lives doing it, but there was no sense of that I received from talking to their friends and their commanders afterward that there was any, bravado behind it at all.
Have you heard from other firefighters that anything could have been done to prevent it?
Nobody's really sure how it could have been prevented right now. I mean, it's one of these, Monday morning quarterback. A lot of people say they shouldn't have been in the canyon. Well, everybody knows what they were looking at before the fire turned around on them. They thought they were in the right spot. Everybody in this state, everybody in the country would love to take this back and for it not to have happened. 3 minutes here, 3 minutes there, different positions in the canyon. This may not have happened.
There are a lot of hotshot organizations, and certainly every community has its own proud group of firefighters. Yeah. Is the attitude among the professionals different now since Yarnell?
I still think they're as aggressive as they always have been. I think that's in their DNA. They are wired to fight fires. That is what they do, and that's not going to change. But for the rest of their lives, the rest of their firefighting careers, they're going to have Yarnell in the back of their mind. And in one regard, that will make them maybe a bit safer to know that could happen to them, because I think people underestimate fires that are that size. As it turned out, 8,500 acres. You think of Wallow Fire, 535,000. You think of the Rodeo Fire, 475,000 acres. This was a very small fire compared with those, but it caused far more damage.
You've seen the loss of life, you've seen the loss of property, and of course, thousands upon hundreds of thousands of acres of timber. What frightens you?
About the future or currently?
No, what frightens you about fire season in Arizona now and the future?
We are bone dry, and the climate experts say we're in a climate change situation. We have had an inch of rain since mid-December. This is one of the top 10 driest runs without rain we've ever had, more than 115 days in Arizona, in Phoenix. The snowpack, much less this year than it has been. It was a third of normal in the high country. The bark beetles are causing all kinds of problems. They're killing off millions of trees because the trees don't have enough water, rain, snowfall to fight them off. So they're just going to town, eating up the trees, killing them. The fire conditions, I've been in the West for a long time. As far as the fire conditions go in Arizona right now, these are the worst I have ever seen. Worse than 2000, worse than 2002, worse than the Yellowstone year, 1988, when it blew up and burned a couple million acres. It's just a bad recipe for disaster. Bone dry forest, no rain, no snow, bark beetles. These fires are burning much more intense, much more dangerous than they used to. There's many more homes out in the timber and out in the desert with population growth than there ever have been. These are areas that have burned in the past, but now you have homes in those areas. This situation is going to be bad for many years to come. The saving grace, to some extent, will be the possibility of El Nino coming in, a wet winter like we had in 09 and 10. That will help a lot if it can come in here and it can get in here and soak this state. Outside of that, we're going to be right back here again next summer.
Those are some of the answers you get when you ask Jim Cross from KTAR News, what's it like to cover fires? If you ask somebody in Prescott or that general area, what's it like to still relive the Yarnell tragedy, the answer will always be, it's hell.